G'day ice cream lovers, welcome to this episode of the podcast. Very nice to have you here, whether you are listening on iTunes or viewing on YouTube. Hey, just do something very simple for me. Click subscribe. And also if you're watching on the YouTubes, hey, leave a comment down there. I try to answer all of the comments and questions and concerns that you might have. So I appreciate you subscribing and watching. I do want to thank our episode sponsor, this episode, which is the Ice Cream Club. Rich and Heather Draper and all of the crew down there at the Ice Cream Club in Florida do a wonderful job of basically creating ice cream for you to sell in your ice cream shop, in your restaurant, your cafe. Look, you can even order a 3-gallon tub of ice cream to be shipped to your home. I don't know actually whether you can do that or not, but talk to Rich and the crew down there because they have all the answers so far as your pre-made ice cream products. theicecreamclub.com, thank you very much for your episode sponsorship. This video I want to talk a little bit about rolling waffle cones. It's one of those scents when we talk about the organoleptic experience and you walk into a store, you see the bright colors, you can hear things going on, but that waft of waffle cone smell is just unmistakable. It screams traditional ice creamery. Yet a lot of stores don't do it because A, they're a little bit concerned about consistency, or B, they're concerned about, consistency. It's really just consistency. I went down a path there that I didn't think I was going to be able to come back from. So in any case, we're going to spend some time talking in this video about rolling waffle cones. So basically we're set up here. These are some of the things we need. Obviously we've got our Kobacco waffle cone maker here. I put a little bit of paper towel here just to make sure that if we have any overflow or if we overspray, it kind of drops down here. And then we're almost ready to go. Here we've got our waffle cone mix. Again, we are using the Kobacco waffle cone mix here because when you use it with this unit, if anything ever goes wrong with this unit, basically they will send you a new one as long as you're using their mix. And it is a very, very good mix. You'll see that there are directions on here as well for 1 pound of dry mix or the full bag. But you'll get used to making this product so you'll know the consistency of it. One thing you do need to do, use cold water and basically put the water in first. That's pretty important because you don't want to get to the point where you've got clumps in the process. So we'll drop our mix in. And again, once you've made a lot of these cones, you'll kind of get to know the consistency. You want the consistency to be almost like a thick pancake mix. So once you mix that through, you'll kind of see that it's still very liquidy. Put some more in. Okay, that's just about do us. So what we've got here is a nice thick mixture. Again, it needs to be like a nice thick pancake mixture because if it's too thin, the cone will bleed out. You'll kind of see a lot of these kind of bleed points where the cone will bleed out. If it's too thick, you'll basically break a tooth off. So I'm a big believer in letting some of this mix stand after you've hydrated it, just to make sure that you've got all the elements of that mix actually mixed with the water. So we can let that stand for 10, 15 minutes, come back and start rolling. Okay, so on this particular unit, you've got a couple of different functions here. You've got your stop-start button. You've got your up and down timer. The one thing that's ingenious about Kobacco is they actually have a secret button right here. And maybe I'm letting the cat out of the bag. Don't let your employees watch this video. So when I press the secret button here and press the stop-start button, it takes me to my thermostat. And right here is where I can change that if I need to. In order to get consistency with waffle cones, you've got to make sure that the thermostat remains the same unless you've got some reason to change it. So don't let the kids see this process, and if you want to change it back to the timer, you simply press the secret button again and we're back to this 1 minute mark. So I've got my paper towel in place, my waffle cone machine is heated and ready to go. A couple of features about this unit. You'll see that I've got a plate here that I've used a little bit. We're starting to get some discoloration in here. We're going to watch in another video how to clean that. You've also got this hinged handle here, and that's important for a number of reasons. You've got to make sure that when you're bringing this down that you don't let that go. And you've also got a little hook here that engages into this pin. When you're making your waffle cones, don't be too concerned that this is in place. You might find that if you're making a thicker waffle cone, that doesn't get all the way down to lock into place, that's fine. So we'll open up our grill here. We'll take our vegetable spray. Now again, follow your manufacturer's instructions here. Tobacco really only needs a quick spray on the top and the bottom when you first start, and that generally is enough to make actually a lot of cones. You don't need to go over and make a whole lot of cones or keep spraying between each cone, because that's what happens when you season the plate. It'll go all black here, very hard to clean, and this will actually bake on. We're sitting here at 370 degrees, so it's important to make sure that we don't do that. So we're going to take our mix, and I've got around about 1/4 cup here. I'm going to take that, drop it down into the middle, and bring our lid down nice and gently, hit our timer. And this is the aroma that you want your employees, your customers, people to basically talk about. It's unbelievable. Another thing I do quite regularly also, and I didn't do that, but I want to do it right here and now, is add a little bit of vanilla extract into the mix. Vanilla extract will actually bring out the beautiful waffle flavors. So there you go. It can be any type of vanilla. I'm using a natural and artificial. And so a couple of things as we're getting ready here. I've got a spatula that I'm going to use to lift that cone off the top. Now it could be on the top plate or it could be on the bottom plate depending. And I've got my roller and my mandrel here ready to go. You want to have everything ready. The longer this cone stays out in the ambient air temperature and cools down, the worse it's going to be for you. So as we lift up our cone here, we see that beautiful rich tone. We're going to drop it down on our roller, sit it up nice and high, feed it in, and then we're going to push and roll so that we're doing this very quickly. A couple of things here. If you start to hear crunching as you're rolling through here, it's all over. Step away from the roller, because crunching basically means you're destroying the cone. Another thing too is that you want to sit the cone up nice and high, either if you're putting it down, putting it up nice and high in this joint here, or sitting it up nice and high so that you can generally see from here that if you've got a little bit of that cone right at the end here, you know you've got a pretty good seal. So as we take that off, I like to do the daylight test. So if you can see daylight in there, then that's an issue, but we can't. It's a beautiful, fresh baked waffle cone. Now a couple of things here. If your mix is too thin, you're going to get a lot of holes and small pinholes through here, and your product will start bleeding through, and you don't want that at all. We did a previous video on what to do if there's a hole in the bottom. Personally, I think if there's a hole in the bottom, you just need to make a new one. Use this for some other products that we've, again, spoken about in another video. But there you go, a beautiful, freshly made waffle cone. We're going to talk a little bit more about storage. We're going to talk a little bit more about the process of how to display them, how to dip them in other videos, but that's basically it. So let's go and make another one. I'm not going to spray between the two. Put my other quarter cup down here. Drop that down, hit my start button. So a couple of things here. If you bake this for too long, you'll see that the cone will be almost burnt. It'll be a much darker consistency. And also, if that happens, it gets much more brittle much quickly. If you don't bake it long enough, it'll be a very light color. And when you pull it off and start to roll it here, you'll find that when you pull it out, it'll just basically unfold. So there's got to be a right consistency or the right process between how thick the mix is and how long you bake it for. And again, it's the process of going through this with your employees time and time again so they get comfortable knowing what a waffle cone should look like, feel like, taste like. So a couple of things we're going to do differently here. We are going to make a smaller one, we're going to make a larger one, show you what can and can't happen in the process of rolling your own waffle cones. Okay, so this one's on the top this time, see? It surprises me. Sometimes you can kind of look down low and open up the lid and go, hey, where's it gone? So we'll take this from the top. Again, sit it up nice and high, push it into the rolling apparatus, and then you're basically just pushing and rolling at the same time. So you're pushing and rolling, so you've got that constant pressure going all the way through. And again, Once that's sitting in there, it's got to sit in there for about 20 seconds. Let's get the next one up and running. So this comes down, set the timer, pull this guy out, have a quick look. Ah, beautiful. Drop that in here, and you'll get to this process where you're just basically rolling, rolling, rolling. So you've got one that's sitting here ready to roll, you got new mix in here, or you're rolling it, it's sitting for about 10-15 seconds, and you put it straight in there. Very, very easy to do, but you've got to have that consistency. The customer wants a nice, solid, consistent waffle cone in order to have a great experience at your store. Now I'm going to do something just a little bit different here. I'm going to take just a fraction of what we put on last time, just to show you what the result is. You can actually make mini waffle cones or kid sample cones based off the same roller, the same baker, the same rolling apparatus, but just a or a much smaller amount of mix. Visual check, beautiful. I'll tell you what, there's nothing like the taste of a fresh, crunchy waffle cone. I'll edit that bit out. So this one was the smaller batter that we put on here, and you can see here that it's just a tiny little fella. We'll take him off. Same process, fit him right in there, push and roll. And what you want is that last quarter turn. You don't want to keep rolling and rolling this. You want to make sure that after that last little bit of the cone goes through, that you'll kind of let it hold. Keep rolling that in there while it's getting brittle, is going to destroy it. And then, look at this little fella. He's so cute. So there you have it, folks. It's a relatively easy process to make waffle cones. It does come into making sure that you have the right equipment, the right mix, the right process and tools and implements, and you too can be a waffle cone king or queen. Well, there you have it, folks. Not so hard after all, but you do need the practice. I used to say that 1 in every 10 people can't roll a waffle cone, and I stopped saying that now because I'll get 10 people in a class down here at Scoop School, and the 9 can roll the waffle cones, and the last guy says, well, I'm not even going to try because it's probably me. So maybe it's not 1 in 10, but you do have people that will struggle with the waffle cones, the homemade, home-rolled waffle cones. So go by the tips in this video and look for the other videos we have following this, where we talk about other aspects of waffle cones and how they can enhance and grow your business. Thanks for tuning in. Keep on scooping. We'll see you in the next video.